Will you all rise, please? You may all be seated. We will have Sensei present the Homyo.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhansam Buddhaṃ saranam gacchami Dhammaṃ saranam gacchami Sanghaṃ saranam gacchami. The Buddhist name Shakujōshin is hereby conferred to Neil Richard Toshio Hinatsu, who passed over to the other shore on February the 6th, 2025, at the age of 64. His Buddhist name, Shakujōshin, is translated as the Buddha of sincere heart. Shakujōshin is the Buddha of sincere heart. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brenda Ikuta, and I'm honored to be the MC for Neil's service today. I am one of the leaders of Toban 3, of which Neil was a dear and valued member. It is with great sadness that we are gathered for the funeral service for Neil Robert Toshio Hinatsu, who passed over to the other shore on February 6, 2025, at the age of 64 years. I would like to express my deepest sympathy to Neil's family and friends, in particular his brother Jim and wife Maureen, their children Emily, Amanda, and Daniel, and to his brother-in-law, Dr. Bruce Todd, and his children, Alexander, his wife Erica, and Nicholas, his wife Sarah. Neil will be remembered for his love of cinema, watching hockey and football with family, and occasionally playing golf with his brother and friends. Neil loved being involved in the lives of Alexander's two children, Jordan and Evelyn, as well as Nicholas' son, Jack. He loved all three of them and cherished the time they spent together. Neil is predeceased by his sister Lorraine Hinatsu Todd, who passed away in 2006, and his parents Roy Hinatsu in 1994 and Janet Hinatsu in 2013. Neil was born, raised, and lived his entire life in Lethbridge, Alberta, and was an active member of the Buddhist Temple of Southern Alberta up until his death. We will remember Neil as a kind and gentle person, willing to help with any task. He was always upbeat and enjoyed the company of others. Most recently, he shared his happiness with many of us about getting his new hearing aids, his imminent move to Black Rock Terrace, and his plan to get a new car. Neil was reliable and hardworking. As soon as he took off his coat, he put on his apron and would say, "Okay, Brenda, what can I do?" Shotsuki, or memorial service at the beginning of each month, meant a lot to Neil. He often listed off who in his family had passed away in that month. He diligently brought their homios and put them on the stand, right up here. And sometimes he talked about the flowers he was taking to the cemetery after temple. For many years, Neil accompanied his mother Janet to Tonarigumi, or seniors drop-in, bingo. When she passed away, he continued to enjoy that community. Activities were closed during the pandemic and did not open until very recently. On January 28, we had our first Tonarigumi pancake lunch and bingo. Neil was so happy to be there. Participants were asked to write down a memory. What did you do with friends and family for fun when you were younger? Neil wrote, fishing every Sunday, also played street hockey with neighbors when it was minus 36 degrees. The roads were icy as well, too. Had to move the hockey nets when the cars would come. Neil will be greatly missed by all of us. We will next have Ikuta Sensei chant the sutra Sambujo, followed by Sambutsuge. During the chanting of Sambutsuge, I will call upon the immediate family members to come forward to offer incense. When they are done, I will call upon the extended family if they wish to do the same. So Ikuta Sensei will give a brief description of Oshoko, or offering of incense, before he begins chanting.
Thanks, Brenda. And so it's common for us to offer incense in the Buddhist tradition. We're not actually burning incense because people often have sensitivities, but there's powdered incense in the front. And I'm going to get my wife, Brenda, to demonstrate how to offer incense, just the procedures, but it's really not as important to follow the procedures. It's really more important to think about being grateful to Neil, to have a nice moment thinking about Neil as you offer incense. Offering incense is an act of purification. So in the Buddhist tradition, we burn incense or offer incense in order to sort of purify our mind and to be able to accept the teachings of the Buddha. So I'm going to get Brenda to just demonstrate really quickly how it's done. So you usually come up to the incense burner and have a shorter bow, and then walk up to the incense burner, take a pinch of incense, put it in the burner, put your hands together, and do a deeper bow. And then you back up, and usually you would bow to Neil's picture and the urn. And then the tradition in Japanese culture is to bow to the family. Of course, the immediate family doesn't have to bow to themselves. So I'll be chanting two chants, the shorter chant, Sambujo, and then Once I chant the longer chant Sambutsuge, Brenda will ask the family to come forward. Bujo mida nyorai niuro jo Samge na aku bujo shaka nyorai niuro jo samge na aku 부조 지포뇨라이 니으로 조 삼계 We respectfully call upon Tathagata Amida to enter this dojo as we joyfully scatter flowers of welcome. We respectfully call upon Tathagata Shakyamuni to enter this dojo as we joyfully scatter flowers of welcome. We respectfully call upon Tathagata of the 10 directions to enter this dojo as we joyfully scatter flowers of welcome. Namandams, namandams, namandams. 고겐기기
immediate family please come forward and offer incense?
요세엔묘 무요토우샤 니치간만닌슈코우엔요 가이신놈페 윤야쿠주모쿠뇨라이요겐 조우세무린 쇼우가쿠다이온 고르지뽀 開門精進三昧知恵意徳無量修正敬有人体前年処分崩壊愚人人の空語外体無名欲ぬ世尊用無人の死死人徳無量空君古代知恵人名光明意相神道大仙願が差分在小法華道生寺未不下段不正上位解任精進如世三昧知恵以上合成特分不行志願一切空空一切大安慶始有分百千億万無量大小修行語者供養一切使徒処分不合愚道検証不客非尿語者処分世界不不可け無修仙道光明師匠変死小国尿税生寺異人難量両が差分国土第一五種奇妙道長長善国
At this time, members of the extended family are invited to come forward and offer incense if you wish.
ガト愛民道断一切実法来生新年症状伊藤が国慶楽安の公文神妙税が心象本願の日力小小薬実法世尊知恵無下上領子孫知が信行軽量心死食毒中画行精進人数不敬ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんに se isai don moraishin oago. Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Will Pat Sasa please come forward and offer incense on behalf of the congregation? I'm going to ask everyone to rise if you are able, except for the family. They can remain seated, and Pat will lead us in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You may be seated. We will now sing the gatha or song, Namo Amida Butsu. This is in video format. The immediate family can remain seated. Will everyone else please rise if you are able? And after the singing of the gatha, you may be seated. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I'm asking Emily Hinatsu to come forward, and she's going to deliver the tribute to her uncle.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Hinatsu. I was Neil's oldest niece. I am the daughter of Jim, his brother. Neil was born, raised, and lived his entire life in Lethbridge, Alberta. He was an active member in the Buddhist temple of southern Alberta, like his mother before him. He enjoyed making new friends and spending his time with his friends and relatives at the temple. Neil had a love for cinema. There is a chance that if you had asked him if he'd seen any movie title in the last 30 years, he would have not only seen it, but added it to his astonishing collection of DVDs and Blu-rays. This collection was of particular fascination to his nieces as it spanned from everything from Disney's Frozen to the Matrix collection. If he saw it and he liked it, it had a place in his collection. His nephew Alexander remembers their long conversations about upcoming movies during their car rides between Lethbridge and Calgary for holidays and family visits. Neil had an excellent memory for what movies Alexander was particularly interested in seeing and made a point to go see them on opening night so he could call him the next afternoon with a full detailed review, often before Alexander had a chance to see it yet. Media was a way for Neil to bond with his nephews. Both of his nephews remember childhood weekend visits where their Friday night tradition was to visit Blockbuster for a weekend movie and video game rental. His nephew Nicholas fondly remembers one particular weekend where he convinced Uncle Neil to go to 3 different stores to find a copy of Donkey Kong Country 2. For his nieces, childhood memories were intermingled with family meals with Grandma. Visiting Grandma and Uncle Neil in Lethbridge meant 2 guaranteed suppers, one night of sushi and Japanese food, and another of KFC and rice with gravy. And they knew that if Uncle Neil went to go pick up the chicken, it was always a good bucket with an uneven assortment of parts, a feat that no one else in the family has yet to accomplish. For the younger members of the family, we will always remember Uncle Neil as someone who was never too busy or too tired to spend time with the people he loved. For Neil, spending time with his family was important, and he treasured every minute. With his passing, we are reminded that the love that we show to others, shapes them and is passed from generation to generation. And we will remember him as someone where the scales of affection and love were never balanced, and it was not about how much we loved him, but how much he loved us. Thank you, Neil, for being our cool and loving uncle. We will miss you dearly. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you, Emily, for that very touching tribute to Neil. Next, we will have the Dharma message from Ikuta Sensei. It will be preceded by the reading of White Ashes in both English and Japanese.
Morning, everybody. Before I give my Dharma message, I'm going to read a passage called the White Ashes. It's typically read before we have funeral services or memorial services in our tradition. And the reading is actually taken from letters written by a man by the name of Rennyo Shonin. So Rennyo Shonin was the 8th descendant of the founder of our school of Buddhism. His name was Shinran. So Rennyo wrote these letters 575 years ago, so quite a long time ago. And it focuses on the fleeting time that we have in this life and the impermanent nature of our existence. So in the morning, we may have radiant health, but in the evening, we turn to white ashes. So recognizing this reality, we have to treasure our lives every day and every moment that we have and try to follow a spiritual path. And for us, that means listening to the teachings of the Buddha. So I'm going to do this reading, and there's a little bit of a ritual in terms of reading it, so if you could bear with me. Hakkotsusho, or white ashes. それ人間の不詳なるそうつらつら感ずるにおおよそ儚きものはこの世の始終中幻のごとくなるいちごなりさればいまだ漫才の人参の受けたりということを聞かず一生過ぎやすし今に至って誰か100年の業態を保つべきや我や先人や先今日とも知らず明日とも知らず遅れ先立つ人は元の雫末の梅雨よりも茂しと言えりされば明日には高岩なって夕べには白骨となれる身なりすでに無常の風来たりぬればすなわち二つの眼たちまちに閉じ一つの息長く耐えぬれば高岩虚しく返じて通りの装いを失いぬる時は六神眷属集まって嘆き悲しめどもさらにその会あるべからずさてしもあるべきことならねばとて野外に送って弱の煙となし果てぬればただほっこんのみの残れり哀れというもなかなか愚かなりされば人間の儚きことは老少不浄三回なれば誰の人も早く御所の一大事を心にかけて阿弥陀仏と深く頼み参らせて念仏申すべきものなりあなかしこあなかしこI'll now read the English translation. White ashes. In silently contemplating the transient nature of human existence, nothing in our world is more fragile and fleeting than our life. Thus we hear of no one sustaining a human form for 1,000 years. Life swiftly passes, and who amongst us can maintain our human form for even 100 years? Whether I go before others, or others go before me, whether it be today or it be tomorrow, who is to know? Those who leave before us are as countless as the drops of dew. Though in the morning we may have radiant health, in the evening we may return to white ashes. When the winds of impermanence blow, our eyes are closed forever, and when the last breath leaves us, our face loses its color. Though loved ones gather and lament, everything is to no avail. The body is then sent into an open field and vanishes from this world, with the smoke of cremation, leaving only white ashes. There is nothing more real than this truth of life. The fragile nature of human existence underlies both the young and the old, and therefore we must, one and all, turn to the teachings of the Buddha and awaken to the ultimate source of life. By so understanding the meaning of death, we shall come to fully appreciate the meaning of this life, which is unrepeatable, and thus to be treasured above all else. By virtue of true compassion, let us realize the irreplaceable value of human life, and let us together live with the Nembutsu in our heart. Thank you, everybody. So today we're gathered at the Buddhist Temple of Southern Alberta to reverently observe the funeral service for Neil Richard Toshio Hinatsu. He crossed over to the other shore on February the 6th at the age of 64. He was so young. His Buddhist name that I chose is Shakujoshin. Shakujoshin. And what that means, the translation, is the Buddha of sincere heart. The Buddha of sincere heart. And I thought this was appropriate for Neil, as he was always a very joyful person. I remember him always having a big smile on his face. He was always full of energy, often excited to share his latest news. Like Brenda talked about, just the Sunday before he passed away, he was talking about his new hearing aids and how great they were. And the fact that he was going to move into Blackrock, he was so excited. He was hoping he would get into Pemmican Lodge, but then Blackrock came up, so he took that one instead. And then the biggest topic of conversation for him was his new car. He was so excited. He was going over the different colors he was thinking about, and he was going to wait till April to get that new car. So I'm sorry that Neil didn't get to see his new car. I'd like to extend my deepest sympathies to his friends and families. And in particular, I want to express my condolences to his brother Jim and Jim's wife Maureen, to their children Emily, and thanks Emily, that was a really nice tribute, to Amanda and Daniel, and to his brother-in-law Dr. Bruce Todd, and his children Alexander and his wife Erica, Nicholas and his wife Sarah. And I know that Neil was particularly close and fond of Alexander's children Jordan and Evelyn, and he was really excited that Jack came into his life too. So I'm so sorry for your loss. So the Buddha of great compassion established a vow to lead all sentient beings to the realm of nirvana, or the Pure Land, upon their passing from this world. So he made a vow that all of us will attain the highest level of enlightenment when we pass away. So in this sense, we now think of Neil as a Buddha, an enlightened being who guides us in our journey. In our tradition in Jodo Shinshu, in Mahayana Buddhism, we talk about the Bodhisattva path. So a Bodhisattva is a Buddha who forsakes his becoming fully enlightened. He puts it off in order to return to this world and to help all of us. And so in practical terms, we think of Neil as continuing to have a great influence on all of us. So as a brother, an uncle, and a friend. And even though he has passed away and he's no longer with us, he'll continue to exert that great influence on how we live our lives. Neil was always so positive. I don't know that I heard a really negative word from him in our many conversations. So while his physical form is gone, his love and his caring compassion remains with us. When I heard about Neil's passing from Alexander, it was really a shock. I actually didn't believe it at first because we had just spent the Sunday before with him, and he looked so healthy, he was so energetic, he was so positive. And it's really difficult sometimes when someone as young as Neil passes away suddenly. We often have some unresolved feelings. We wish we would have spent another moment with them, said something more to him. And yet, in such difficult moments, the Buddha's compassion embraces all of us, not just Neil, but us as well. So the sudden passing of others reminds us that we need to live our life every day with gratitude. Every breath is precious. Every encounter with our families, so even though this is a sad funeral, it's really important to remember that we get a chance to be with our family, to make acquaintances again for people that we haven't seen for a while, and to come together and be grateful for this moment. In fact, Neil has given us this moment or this opportunity. So may this service be a precious occasion in which we can encounter the teachings of the Buddha. As we remember and mourn the passing of Neil Hinatsu, may our remembrance of him lead us to grateful appreciation for everything that we have received from him. So if you could please join me in Gassho or put your palms together as I recite the Nembutsu. So the Nembutsu is an offering of gratitude to the Buddha. Namamida Butsu. Namamida Butsu. Namamida Butsu. Namanda. Thank you.
We will now sing our second song, or gatha, which is called Ondoku-san. The immediate family can remain seated, and will everyone else please rise if you are able. You may all be seated. At this point, I'm going to invite Dr. Bruce Todd, who will provide a few words of thanks.
That's so I can see the crowd. My name is Bruce Todd. No? Lift it up for me. Thank you. I'm not used to this. Anyhow, Neil was my brother. I'm supposed to say brother-in-law, but no, he was my brother. Think of a gentle spirit. That gentle spirit is Neil. An ideal. Yes, he's gone, but as long as we think about him here, he is going to continue to be with us. I'd like to thank Sensei for the service. Peaceful and gentle. Thank you. We have got some sandwiches for us to sit and talk, reminisce, reconnect with friends, family, acquaintances, which is what basically this is all about. I'd like to thank Brenda for being the MC, as well as, and I believe it's called Generations. I'm a little bit emotional. If we have a takeaway, gosh, he was so healthy at Christmas time, guys. He just had a blast. He was talking, he was meeting people, reconnecting with family. My brother's birthday on the 26th, he had a good time. He even started to like, I shouldn't say like, he always tolerated, but he liked Alexander's dog, Molly. Molly licks a lot and loses hair. Like I said, a gentle spirit. But please join us on the other side for sandwiches and just to talk. Thank you.
Okay, just to make a few announcements. There will be a Seventh Day Memorial Service after the luncheon. It will start around 1:30 p.m. and an inurnment will be held later in the year. So we will be, I'm going to ask the congregation to rise as the family leaves the hondo or the main hall. We thought that it would be good to do shokuzen no kotoba or meal meditation before we leave the hall. So I'll ask Ikuda Sensei to lead us in that before the recessional.
If I could get people to put their hands together. David, you could turn the sound down just a touch. Thank you. We are grateful for this food we are about to partake, for all of the causes and conditions that have brought us together. We're grateful for the opportunity to remember Neil and to have a nice discussion with family and friends. Namamidabuts. Namamidabuts. Itadakimasu. Thank you.
Can I get the congregation to rise as the family leaves the hall?